think we need to, Michael has such a big following, and I'm not quite sure what it is worldwide, but London is where they entertain Sharia law. They're becoming Islamified, and they've got an Olympics coming up in 2012, which they need to promote, and we're going to promote all the international community not to go there because they don't honor free speech in London.
Oh, now, James, this is very interesting. This could work. I don't want to tell Dr. Savage how to do his business, but the Olympic Games in 2012, just around the corner, that is also a presidential election year, James.
Committee, because they're going, we want the International Olympic Committee to say that London is going to honor free speech, and that means Michael Savage is going to be honored there. And a public apology, or the entire international community that listens to Michael is going to ban the London Olympics, and we're going to start now. We're not going to wait till 2012. We're going to make it so they have to decide whether they really, really want to hold it.
Interesting, James. Thank you for the call on the Savage Nation. The Olympics in the UK 2012, is that an option? What should Michael do about this latest turn of events? That is, while publicly it seems as though, in order to throw you off the trail here, the new Home Secretary suggests, yeah, we'll take Michael off the list, when in reality they've confirmed just today they've done no such thing and don't seem to intend to. Is it just to pacify you, the great unwashed, who hopefully will be, again, shaken off the trail of this thing? 800-449-8255. John's in San Diego on the Savage Nation. Hi, John. I'm Chris, in for Dr. Savage today. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? I'm just wondering, where's all the political pressure from our politicians here in the United States? I haven't heard one thing from one Republican, one Democrat, not even a governor, a congressman, or senator, or even an alderman complaining that somebody over 3,000 miles away from our own shores can come over here and deem as one of our citizens undesirable. And I'm wondering where all of our politicians who are supposed to represent us, where their constituents, they don't represent anybody, let alone Dr. Savage. So I want to know where our representatives are to defend us against people like people in England.
Well, John, you look at hearings like the Sotomayor trial hearings, I guess, confirmation hearings last week. It could have been a trial. It ought to have been a trial. She ought to have been cross-examined like she was a witness, the way this woman has spoken. You look at the leadership in the Senate, particularly the Republicans, who are as weakened and as anemic and lacking in leadership and voice as maybe they've ever been. You look at them, and the fact that even Obama's own legal counsel said we learned nothing from Sonia Sotomayor. We've seen two articles from the New York Times and USA Today just today that said no one was remotely inquisitive about Sonia Sotomayor, a woman who's going to have a lifetime appointment on the United States Supreme Court. So it should come as no surprise, John, that we lack in leadership. I mean, when the country's highest court in the land doesn't deserve scrutiny, then why do any of those people in Washington, D.C. believe Dr. Savage and this situation deserve any scrutiny? No, it's part and parcel of the same problem without question, but I'll tell you who does understand this, who understands the encroachment on free speech quite well, who understands what it is to be branded as someone who peddles in quote-unquote hate speech. Those are pastors, men of the cloth, people in the pulpit, like David James Manning. We've got some of this audio, and for those of you that hadn't heard it before or maybe newer to the program or not familiar with this scenario, back in May, David Manning, who has been one of the most outspoken individuals in defense of Michael Savage. He is a pastor in New York and made a lot of news during the election. Very, very tough talk on Barack Obama. And this is a guy, and I would say that men in churches, men and women who preach, specifically you men and women who preach in black churches, if I may, you are very much next. This does not just mean talk radio. This means men and women of the cloth, of whatever faith you might be, that stand in your respective bodies of worship each and every week, and you extol the virtues of your faith. Well, most faiths are fairly conservative. Most faiths profess certain laws of the land, the way things are to be, as deemed by a higher authority. Well, in this day and age, in the United Kingdom, and certainly our government seems to be increasingly of the impression that there is no such thing as a higher authority. Your rights are derived only from who grants them you by the Congress, by the President, by the White House. The Constitution says otherwise. But preachers most certainly, pastors like David James Manning understand this. Let's listen to a little of what he's had to say on the issue.
And who are they anyway? England, United Kingdom. Who are they? You know, if they're going to if they are blacklisting, if the United Kingdom, if they're blacklisting Michael Savage, first of all, Russ Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, what you got to say about it? What you going to say about it? What you going to do about it?
Well, nothing. So far, they've been remarkably silent on the issue. Perhaps they think it can't happen to them. I'm here to tell you it can. I, as a talk show host, think about it every day. It's how I make my living and feed my family. Now, Michael has often told you he's not in this for the money. His living has been made. He does it out of genuine concern and care for the direction of the country, nothing more. He could disappear from the microphone tomorrow. His living, not necessarily impacted, not necessarily his rights, the privilege, the God-given right to speak out and be behind a microphone would be snatched from him, and that is maybe the most duplicitous of all. Not even his right to earn a living. That takes second place to just the basic right of free speech, something we all enjoy. This very much, to me, is on the march for all of us in talk radio, but yes, also people of the cloth. I would warn you today, if you're in a mosque, a synagogue, a church, a temple, wherever you may worship, I would encourage you to think along the lines of not just a ban like this against one talk radio host, but rather something like this sweeping the country and becoming the law of the land for every talk show host and your spiritual leader. Hate crimes legislation is a very real thing. It looms large in Congress, just the same as the Fairness Doctrine, just the same as cap and trade, just the same as nationalizing of health care. It's all part and parcel of the same grand plan. Michelle's in Chicago. You're next on the Savage Nation. Hello.
I just wanted to say that I know that the callers mean well, but I think that we got to fight this fight for Dr. Savage smart. We got to be smart about it. I don't agree with going over to England. I think we need to start the fight at home, like some callers have said. What we need to do is inundate Washington as well as these talk shows with phone calls, letters, emails, whatever we can do to force them to bring this to the forefront. I know, like some of the things that were said previously as well, but I think that's one of the things that we need to do.
Michelle, thank you. Let's go to Sandy in Maine next on the Savage Nation. I'm Chris in for Dr. Savage today. Sandy, hello. Thanks for the call.
Hi, Chris. I just want to say that I think that Dr. Savage needs to do whatever he has to do to get his name off the original list that was put forth by Jackie Smith. His name never should have been on that list. Nobody ever gave a reason as to why his name was put on that list. And myself, as an American citizen, if my name had been put on a list that it didn't belong on, I would do everything I could possibly do, legally, listener support-wise, anything I could do to make sure that my name was removed in writing from that list. He doesn't belong on it. He's a very good man. He has a wonderful heart. He helps millions of people every single day by what he tells us, by how he educates us, by how he listens to us. And we need to support him. And if we need to inundate him with money because he needs our help legally to get this thing taken care of, then that's what we need to do. And he needs to ask us for it. And he needs to ask us to call other talk radio hosts and get support for him. But you know what? Maybe they're a little bit behind this. Maybe there's some jealousy here. It's ironic to me that on a weekend, here we go, another newspaper article saying, "Hello, Michael, we've buried the list, so you don't need to worry about this anymore." When they know how that's going to affect this emotional man. They know how upset he's going to get, how it's going to take him off the radio. I wonder what kind of conspiracy is behind all of this, because he's the one that's suffering, and that's what bothers me.
Sandy, thank you for the phone call. I know Dr. Savage appreciates it. MichaelSavage.com is the website where you, too, can contribute to the Michael Savage Legal Defense Fund for this very issue that Sandy mentioned. That's how you do it. If you choose to get involved and want to help Dr. Savage monetarily, he takes not a penny. All of it goes to waging this war. That is where Dr. Savage is today, crafting his next strategy. I'm Chris, in for Dr. Savage, and this is the Savage Nation.
On the air, online, and on the go. This is Talk 910 KNEW.
Chris Stigall in for Michael Savage on the Savage Nation. 800-449-8255, the phone number. MichaelSavage.com, the website where the most important stories